think in the last 15 years or so, we've seen that a substantial part of investment going into India has been around the chemical sector, the pharmaceutical sector, and the consumer products and industries sector. That's probably taken about 50 to 60% of investment going into India. I think going forward with the changes that we are seeing, I've already mentioned defense and insurance, the consumer product sector still remains high on the agenda for many. But with new initiatives around Make in India, Skill India, Digital India, so infrastructure, education, advanced engineering are all areas where the UK has significant expertise and therefore would be contributing to the success there. So I see those areas certainly as attracting more and more interest and focus from a UK point of view. I think India clearly needs to build a supply chain from a defense point of view, and that's a long process. And there are certain parts of India which inevitably attract certain talent and expertise. So you might find that on those, it's early days for UK companies to sort of invest deeply on those. But I would say that there will be certain regions which may well be sort of more suited to this than others. It's not possible for me to say right now what they might be. For me, it comes back to the point that India is large, it's vast. Most companies don't tend to immediately think of, I want to be in all states at one go. They will select a few states, see how they go there, and use their sort of initial entry strategy to expand throughout India. So it'll be a question of selecting the right states as part of your entry strategy, where you go and how you expand from that to the rest of the country. Those have essentially been allowing overseas investors to have a higher stake, higher shareholding in Indian enterprises, and a specific approval processes where greater sort of shareholding, 75% of whole ownership is required, which can be reviewed by the Indian authorities. I think UK companies were often telling us that the shareholding levels were not high enough, so there may have been some concerns about the levels of investment they might be willing to make, the level of technology transfers that might occur, and so on. So what India is looking to do is clearly to partner much more actively in this space and attract some of that sort of investment and expertise into the country. I would say that historically most of the investment has gone into India, to my mind, to take advantage of the opportunities that exist in India, the local markets. People are beginning to think about using India as a base for the rest of Asia. But typically, historically at least, that has not been the predominant driver. But going forward with the campaign for Make in India and so on, that might well change. There are certainly some companies beginning to think like that, but I think sorting out the unified national market in the country, along with the local opportunities that exist for overseas groups, I think has been a priority, at least in the past. I think the experience that we've had is India is clearly a competitive marketplace, and that products might require reconfiguration to suit that particular market. The price point is always going to be sensitive, but I'm not necessarily seeing companies diluting their standards to achieve their objectives in the marketplace. I mean, to my mind, with the middle class and so on, you're seeing that there is the ability amongst sort of Indian consumers to buy these products with the inherent quality that comes with it. So there may be a price point issue within India, but I think companies are looking at that and tailoring their product accordingly. But to my knowledge, I would say not at the expense of diluting their quality of standards. Certainly, from a healthcare point of view, our view is there are significant opportunities in that space. But to take advantage of those opportunities can be done in a number of different ways. It's not just about selling in the local markets. It's also about using India as a hub for research and development, development of new products, and so on. So from what we're seeing a much more broader perspective rather than simply about selling sort of drugs into the local market. Clearly in India there are restrictions around pricing and policy and all of that sort of stuff that applies to this sector. So it'd be a question of navigating through those. So I can understand the challenges, but I think the farmer opportunity, to my mind, is not just about selling drugs into that marketplace. It's a wider issue.